Big win for the Edmonton Oilers, closing out their road trip out east. They draw even on the road trip, 2-2. Not fantastic, but probably good enough considering the way that they were playing. Always good to close on a winning note, and that's what they were able to do on the strength of a Stuart Skinner heck of a good performance. Hey everybody, welcome to Got Your Back Short Shift Edition. Of course, Got Your Back Short Shifts, as always, brought to you by Mid-City Construction Management, a locally owned and operated company that specializes in civil construction projects for over 40 years. From roadways to excavation, underground utilities, paving, and concrete, they've played a massive role in the infrastructure of Edmonton and surrounding areas since 1980. I've spent some time down at head office. Great crew down there. Like I said, a family business. Also spent some time on their job sites. Boy, are they ever involved in some majors. Pretty cool that a local company is right in the middle of projects that massive here in our city. All right, we're going to head right out to Florida because joining us on the line once again, Daniel Nugent-Bowman, our good friend from The Athletic, on the road with the Edmonton Oilers right now, and quite frankly, pretty fresh out of the locker room, just wrapping up post-game. Daniel, how are you, buddy?
Not bad. I got in a little walk around the beach today, so I'm feeling a little more red and tan than usual. I was reporting back home to the wife and daughter, and they didn't want to hear anything.
Yeah, I bet. I bet not. Yeah. Well, listen, who makes the call on which road trips you go on? Like, come on. The Florida trip, that's your bosses must have looked at you a little sideways when you were like, yeah, I think this one's money well spent.
Yeah. Well, when it's November in Florida, I made a solid push. I had to really work for it, but I obviously worked hard enough to be able to get on it. So well, I did something right.
Yeah, well, made sense that you were there because there was a lot that happened. Let's get to breaking this game down. I think the main place to start here is with Stuart Skinner. The Oilers once again come out and just very little going early in that game. They were on their heels. Florida's dominating. The only Oiler that really showed up ready to go for puck drop seemed to be Stuart Skinner. And gave his team an opportunity to find their footing, Daniel. But not just that, he then dug in through a really tight game. And once again, rock solid, steady, confident performance from Stuart Skinner.
Yeah, Jay Woodcroft said after the game that Stuart Skinner has been, I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but
I've got the clip. We'll listen listen to it in a minute here. Yeah, I heard that question you asked him.
Yeah, and so one of the better stories on this team, aside from obviously, some of the guys that you would expect like McDavid and Draisaitl, but it's funny, Ryan. We talked a couple nights ago in Carolina, and we were really talking about goaltending in that one too, but it was the opposite stuff, and that's being Jack Campbell, who's really struggled this year, and Stuart Skinner, who's kept them in a lot of games, who's really shone, and they can really, they're really should be thankful that they have Stuart Skinner playing as well as he has, because the other guy in Campbell has not played very well, and the Oilers are 10-8 in large part because Stuart Skinner has been able to keep them in a lot of games, and tonight, this afternoon here in Florida, was no exception, because as you mentioned, it was 11-0 in shots for the Panthers midway through the first period, and they controlled a lot more of the play at 5-on-5 than the Oilers certainly did. So I don't know how many 10 Bell saves he made, but he certainly was steady and confident, very cool in the net, and was the best player for the Oilers tonight.
Yeah, Jay Woodcroft kind of pointed to that after the game too, that maybe it wasn't especially in the early going, there were not a lot of really great chances, but still just steady. And he looked confident and he looked steady in there. And that's what your team needs to see. Let's get to that clip here. We'll go to the Weiss Johnson Soundbox, and we'll remind you, as part of their 45th year anniversary, for the next 3 months, they're going to be giving away, including installation, a new furnace or hot water tank to a community organization or a charity that is in need. So if you know a community organization or a charity that's in need of a new furnace or hot water tank, send an email to info@weiss-johnson.com. That's info@weiss-johnson.com. They're also looking to find the oldest furnace in Edmonton. So if you've got just a big beast that's clunking away in your basement, snap a picture of that and send it to info@weiss-johnson.com. Here is the clip you were referring to from Jay Woodcroft on the story that has been Stuart Skinner from the Weiss Johnson Soundbox.
I think he's one of the stories of our young season. When you look at people who maybe are outperforming expectations, I still think there's a way to go for us as a team. But in terms of individuals, Stuart would be right at the top of that list. And that's a credit to him and the work that he puts in.
So looking at what happens now, because that's what we always do with the goaltending, good performance tonight, but what's going to happen next? The Oilers are in this interesting position, Daniel, where from the time that Jack Campbell skated off the ice in his last game that did not go well, the Oilers played 2 games in 8 days. So there's a real opportunity to get Jack Campbell that significant rest and that significant practice time that teams need, that sometimes a goaltender needs when he's not on his game. To me, this is absolutely a no-brainer. Stuart Skinner has to get the next start.
Oh, absolutely. You can't have, a goaltender like him play as well as he did tonight, as well as he's played for most of his time in the net this season, and certainly the way he's outplayed Jack Campbell and not give him that start on Wednesday, as you mentioned, Ryan. Now the Oilers are here Saturday, they're here Sunday, and they're not flying home until Monday. So
they got a rookie party,
practice.
Right? Rookie party and some team bonding and stuff like that. That'll be going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they only have one. They're only going to have one practice before the next game. But still, they'll have some time to break down film. They'll have time to work on some things, I'm sure. And depending on how things go for Skinner and the Oilers on the next game on Wednesday, they don't play again until Saturday, and then they only have 3 games on a 6-day road trip, I believe, in New York. So they have a little bit of some breathing room here in this schedule. So this is a chance for not only just for Skinner to try to keep this positive momentum going, but for Campbell, and along with maybe Skinner and Dustin Schwartz to really work on some stuff there with Campbell and get his game kind of fine-tuned, because it obviously hasn't gone anywhere close to the way he's wanted through this early part of the year. So I think this kind of helps the Oilers in a way. Because there's no question, Ryan, they're going to need Jack Campbell to get going. So you might as well kind of use this time to kind of get him kind of moving in the arrow in the right way, at least.
Think about this, though. So to me, it's an easy decision who you start on Wednesday. Easy.
Mm-hmm.
Their next game after that isn't until Saturday. Guess who's rolling into town? Vegas. So if Stuart Skinner pitches a good, solid game on Wednesday, he'll have plenty of rest to potentially play 3 in a row. Are you going back to Jack Campbell, who will have been, 8 days without a game or whatever it ends up being, against the juggernaut rolling through town? We're getting ahead of ourselves, and we don't need to sit here and debate that in this moment, but I foresee an interesting decision potentially coming up for Jay Woodcroft here, because Skinner, I think, gets a next start, and then you've got Vegas coming into town. And against Vegas, a division opponent, an important game, you have to play the goalie who gives you the best chance at winning. We'll go back to the Weiss Johnson Soundbox. Here's a very polite Stuart Skinner. He did this same thing to me earlier this year after one of his home games, Daniel. I think I said to him, Stuart, a really solid performance from you. Why do you think it went so well, or something like that? And he looked at me and said, "Oh, thank you." He thanked me for complimenting him in my question. Here's Derek Van Diest from Post Media.
I think he's one of the...
That's not him.
Really well, really confident. Or what you seem locked in, I guess.
Thanks.
That's the best way to say it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I feel good. The big thing is just, trying to get wins. I know my record, I think, is 3-3 now or something like that. So that's what actually counts. So we got to try to get a few more wins here.
How about a guy? I've never had a guy thank me in a scrum like that before, Daniel.
I have, and his name is Stuart
Yeah,
Skinner.
he did it to you too.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
I don't know if it was in a scrum. I think I was asking him a story about Jack Campbell, about him being a nice guy, and I said, "Oh, you're a pretty nice guy too." And he said, "Oh, well, thank you very much."
Oh, yeah,
jeez.
Much admiration going all the way around here. I mean, that's the guy he is, though, right? That's why, I think it was Darnell Nurse was joking one day about between Jack Campbell and Stuart Skinner, they have the 2 nicest players, let alone nicest goalies in the NHL. And every time you turn around, one of them standing there asking you how your day's going. Those are guys that the team is going to want to play for. Draisaitl did have a clip post game as well. He was asked about Skinner's game and how well he's been playing, and then he also made a point of saying, I don't think seems like every time Jack's in there, we're laying an egg. we haven't been good enough for Jack Campbell. So Draisaitl going out of his way a little bit there to say they need to be better in front of Jack Campbell as he works his way through this. The next guy we have to talk about is Warren Foegele. Probably the Oilers' most consistent forward on this road trip in terms of work ethic. And take us through his night, Daniel, because he got a bump early, and then it all came full circle late in that game with the eventual winner.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just the one caveat being that he was pretty lousy as the team was as a whole against Washington. He made a bad turnover in the first period, allowing Dylan Strome to score. But then, he really kind of responded, and that was after the Capitals went 4 for 5 on the power play, and Jay Woodcroft, who had came into the year hoping to give him some more shorthanded time on the penalty kill. He hadn't done that much in the early part of the season, and he gave him a bump onto the penalty kill against Tampa Bay, and he scored a pretty big shorthanded goal to get the Oilers a rare first goal of a game. And yeah, you're right. Tonight, this afternoon, he moved up a lot with Draisaitl and Hyman when Dylan Holloway made a turnover and was kind of bumped down a little bit. Scored a big goal in the third period. He's starting to do a lot of the things that I think management had thought he would do when they acquired him last summer, or the previous summer for Ethan Bear. Certainly there's some room to go, but now he's starting to feel a lot more comfortable and confident on the ice than he has at any point in his Oilers career, and especially when the Evander Kane is out for quite a while here. As we talked about the other night, we don't really know about Kyler Yamamoto, who's back in Edmonton. So they're going to need some guys who've been playing predominantly lower down in the lineup to kind of step up. And Fogel's been that guy in the last couple of games. And for a guy that now is starting to get some opportunity and shorthanded and can play both wings, and now is scoring a couple goals here and there. That's a good player that might be coming out of his shell here.
Really like the play he made on the goal because he turned over the puck. Like he forced the turnover from the Florida defenseman, I think, and then went to the net, got the feed, and buried it. So he started and he finished that play. Doesn't have the same skill or the same scoring touch, but what Warren Foegele is doing to my eye is he's bringing Zach Hyman-like work ethic to every single shift, to every single puck battle, forecheck, back check. He's working as hard or harder than pretty much everybody else on that team, and it's showing. Jay Woodcroft with some nice instincts tonight, saw he was going early, elevated him, and that subtle decision pays dividends. The other end of that is Dylan Holloway plays under 7 minutes again. That's a podcast for another day. Have to wonder how long they're going to continue along the flight path with Dylan Holloway. We can dig into that maybe a little bit next week. Honorable mention today, I would say, Daniel. I thought Puljujarvi had himself a decent game, some good looks. Nice, dug a few pucks out, was aggressive in wanting to finish checks. And then I like the play he made on the empty net goal. He was solid on the wall in his own end. That's a couple games here where he's been on the ice in the last minute.
Yeah, and again, another player that's going to need to step up, with Yamamoto and Kane out of the lineup. And you're right, he made a pretty good play. The Oilers had kind of struggled around the blue lines tonight, and he made a really good play to get a puck out, get it to McDavid, obviously, then got it to Nugent Hopkins for the empty net goal, and working around the boards pretty well, playing pretty solidly positionally. I think Jesse Puljujarvi brings a lot of good things. The big knock on him, has been the production, and if he's going to get elevated into the top six, which he has been, you want or you'd hope for that production to start coming, but at least he's doing some other things around the ice that are being helpful for this team. And I think here in Florida, as you mentioned, Ryan, that was a pretty good example of what he can do when he's on his game. So kudos to him. Kudos to Foegele, who we talked about, and you mentioned Zach Hyman, Mike. That was somebody that the Oilers management thought that they were kind of getting a Zach Hyman light in Foegele, and you saw some of that tonight. So it's two pretty good performances from guys that are moving up the lineup here.
He's got a good engine and a good drivetrain. He's an excellent skater. He stays low. He's powerful. He digs hard. Doesn't always have the softest hands in tight, but his intentions are good, and he's starting to play like a guy that wants to make a difference and isn't just trying to get through shifts without making mistakes. big shift in his game. Tyson Barrie, couple of skilled shots, couple of skilled plays. You have to have your head up to execute shots from that far out, especially the first one, to find the seams and to find, and that's one of the things Tyson Barrie is so good at, taking the puck, head up, moving laterally with his head up, finding spots and hitting them. He did that a couple of pretty solid times. And Woodcroft with some interesting comments about Tyson Barrie's bounce back performance. Daniel, take us through what Woodcroft had to say.
Yeah, he wasn't pleased with Barrie's game Thursday night in Carolina, and I'm sure there are a lot of players on that list that could have been mentioned, because that was not a great performance from the goaltender on out in that game. But really liked the way that Barrie played in Florida here. Certainly the 2 goals stand out, especially putting the team ahead a couple of times. But he really liked the way he defended, which is a big thing, not only with Barrie, but so many of these defensemen, the work in front of their goaltenders, as you pointed out with Draisaitl's comments regarding Jack Campbell, hasn't been good enough for a lot of games this year. So Woodcroft was kind of saying that the work of Barrie in his own end was just as important as the 2 goals. You might argue with that, or might quibble with that, given how much of the offense was lacking for the first 40 minutes overall in this game. But still, you need a defenseman to defend, and Tyson Barrie brought it at both ends of the ice tonight, so kudos to him.
Yep, for sure. And, one of the better offensive defensemen in the league a couple of years ago. I still think there's lots of value there. He's a polarizing player in town. Lots of discussion about, if he can defend at a high enough level. But when he's creating offense like that, definitely makes a case. I also thought he was one of their, more steady defensemen in the playoffs too. I thought he played pretty well then. So nice little offensive bump here for Tyson Barrie. Oilers wrap up the road trip 2-2. What do you have coming up in the Athletic, Daniel?
Well, we're writing about this game as soon as we get off the line here, and probably shouldn't come to the surprise of anyone that Stuart Skinner will be the focus tonight.
Yes.
And then, we got some features coming off this road trip that'll hopefully drop kind of early, middle-ish next week, and then hit the road again for New York. That'll be the last one for a little while. So looking forward to that.
Should also ask you quickly, I know Evander Kane's been around the team the last couple of days. Have you had a chance to catch up with them? And I know it was pretty scary for people, but good to see Kane. I know he had a media availability and has been around the group a fair amount. So after a scary incident, good to see him around.
Yeah, he did update us as a collective kind of media contingent here. I guess it was here, in Florida yesterday. Spoke for 5 or so minutes, and it was a very good spirits considering what had happened. I talked to Ken Holland the other day in Carolina, and he said it was like a massive cut, but Kane said it was, was right down to the bone, and they needed to actually take an artery from somewhere else in his arm to or vein rather,
a vein,
from somewhere else in his arm, to reattach the artery. Excuse me. So it sounded pretty ugly, but he was smiling and good spirits. He was around the team today as well. Wayne Gretzky's here, or was here at the game, and chatting with a lot of the players. And Kane was down, with his Oilers kind of pullover on with the big kind of bump in the chest because of obviously the sling and the cast that he is on. But good spirits, and he'll be be around for the weekend, I believe anyway. As the team kind of has a little bit of fun for a couple days here in Florida.
Right on, Daniel. Safe travels. We'll catch up with you real soon, and thanks for joining us not once but twice here on this road trip. Much appreciated, my friend. We'll look for your stuff in the Athletic.
You're very welcome, Ryan. Anytime. Glad to come on.
All right, take care, pal. That is Daniel Nugent-Bowman of the Athletic on the road with the Edmonton Oilers. All right, I don't know how you feel about that. 2-2 on the road trip. Listen, threw it out there on Twitter. I'm going to just take a look and see if we can find some comments here that I can actually read. Logan Brandon says Skinner was great. The D continued to struggle to break out the puck. I like what I saw in the limited ice time. Janmark, McLeod, Costin played together. The top guys have looked tired the last couple of games, so it'll be important to cut their minutes some as the season goes on. Really good response there from Logan Brandon. I agree. Skinner was great. Breaking the puck out at times for this group can be a little bit of a struggle. Listen, Markus Niemelainen, this is not his strength. Sometimes he has a tough time on the handles. You'll take it, though. You'll take the physicality that comes with his game. And, the puck handling is definitely a work in progress. Andrew Holland has this on the goaltending. Definitely play Skinner while Campbell works behind the scenes to address his game. I think at Jason Strudwick would agree. Oilers need to put points in the bank. Yeah, I'm not sure what Struddy's saying about that. We'll have to check in with him. I think he's in BC right now. And Greg K says, need to get the pressure off Campbell for a while without destroying his confidence. They're going to need both of them. I don't know how you do that, but Skinner needs to start for a bit. Hopefully Campbell can see it as a way to rebuild his game. But you have to let Skinner run. Good point there from Greg K. And thanks for your contributions on Twitter as we go to our the Weiss Johnson mentions here on Twitter. Yeah, listen, Jay Woodcroft has some decisions to make, right? So I think it's obvious that you play Skinner in the next game, as we discussed. He can't play that well, and as consistent as Skinner has been, remember, the one little blip that he had, the Jersey game, I think, he was in net for that 7-second debacle, 2 goals. I really believe had that not happened, he would have started the following game as well. But, they ended up losing that game. They went back to Campbell. But Skinner's playing really well, so you definitely start him coming up here against LA. And then it's decision time that following Saturday because the Vegas Golden Knights are rolling into town. That's a good team. And you need to put your best goalie in net when a division leader rolls through your building. And Vegas is going to come rolling through Edmonton. They're playing great hockey right now. Jack Eichel has been on fire. They're getting great goaltending from unexpected sources. So we'll see what happens. Be interesting if they decide to throw Jack Campbell back in after 7 or 8 days off. Assuming that they start Skinner on Wednesday against LA, which we definitely think they should do. All right, that'll wrap up this short shift. Big thanks to Daniel Nugent-Bowman from The Athletic for checking in on the trail with the Edmonton Oilers. Thanks for your downloads and your subscriptions, folks. Really appreciate it. Leave us a review on iTunes if you get a chance. Really enjoyed reading through some of your comments on Twitter, too. Maybe we'll try and do that a little bit more often here on the short shifts. I'll put out a tweet. You tell me what you think of the game, and we'll try and involve some of your comments here on Got Your Back Short Shifts. Big thanks to our sponsors, Mid-City Construction Management and Weiss Johnson as well. I might head to the mountains for a day or two, catch a breather. The Oilers are going to be on the beach. I think I've earned a break too. We'll check in next week, though. More podcasts are on the way. Take care. Have a fantastic finish to your weekend, folks.